Hello, my name is Sharissa Harden, and today I'm presenting my review of the book Data and Goliath, The Hidden Battles to Collect Your Data and Control Your World by Bruce Schneier. In Data and Goliath, Mr. Schneier takes a deep dive into the practice of corporations and the government in collecting and storing mass amounts of personal data that's gathered through our everyday activities. From phone calls, emails, and text messages, to the websites we visit, the purchases we make, and even our location. Mr. Schneier begins by laying out how our data is collected, processed, correlated, and analyzed by both corporations and the government. We are constantly generating data as a byproduct of the computing age. This data is collected in mass and stored indefinitely, as it's easier and more cost-effective to grab all the data, store it, and pull what's needed later. Mr. Schneier stresses that data collection alone is not the sole problem. He explains that data is content, and metadata is context, and context can tell you everything about an individual's life. Using this information, correlations can be made across different data sets, which then draw inferences from the combined data. Once our data is correlated from these sets, there is a lot that can be done with them. One example he uses is the ability to build a picture of an individual's health without ever looking at their medical records. He goes on to caution us about the harm that comes from this ubiquitous mass surveillance and its threat to democracy, liberty, freedom, and progress. One of his major concerns is with government surveillance. As our data is stored indefinitely, the threat comes from the ability of the government to interpret, misinterpret, or even use our data against us, 5 or even 10 years down the road. He closes with a discussion on what needs to be done in order to protect ourselves from government and corporate surveillance through various policy changes, as well as prevention methods we as consumers can use. While the book was very informative, it was at times a difficult read. This is mainly due to the fear-based tone it took in the first 2 sections, which was due to the fact that it was written prior to 2015. There was very little known at that time about data collection and what was done with it. A lot has changed since publication, and we're all familiar with the numerous publicized data breaches and the everyday request to opt in or opt out of data collection that pop up on the web pages we visit. The final section was anticlimactic, based on the urgency Mr. Schneier generated in the first 2 sections. His suggestion for what needs to be done to protect ourselves as consumers focused mainly on policy changes that, by his own admission, are difficult to accomplish at best. Where I do agree with Mr. Schneier is with regard to the point that we have gotten too good at adapting. As the younger generation grows up with these practices, they will be more comfortable with it, and in many ways, most of us already are. This led me to ask 2 questions. First, at what point is the burden put on the consumer? Consumers are concerned about their data and privacy now more than ever. In March of this year, the International Association of Privacy Professionals published a report in which nearly 68% of consumers throughout the world said they are either somewhat concerned or very concerned about their online privacy. Since we as consumers have very little control over the policies needed to protect our data, it is the responsibility of the consumers concerned to take the necessary steps to protect themselves using the tools available to do so. Second, how does this affect marketing in the digital world? This growing concern presents a challenge for marketers, and that challenge is, how do we provide consumers with the benefits that come from their data in the form of customized ads, while providing them with the ability to choose what they share and whom they share it with? This is important because consumers want customized ads. According to Statista, in 2022, over 60% of surveyed online shoppers stated that brands delivering content that was not personalized would lose their loyalty. At the same time, marketers must build trust with consumers. Consumers will avoid making purchases if they feel their privacy is at risk. In a special report published from Edelman's Trust Barometer, 81% of consumers said they need to trust a brand to buy from them, and 64% of customers say their trust in a company grows when they provide clear information regarding their privacy policies. This is where the challenge lies. Marketers must find a way to provide consumers with the clarity they want and the control they need so they willingly participate in data sharing. In this way, both the consumer and the business benefits. In researching various articles pertaining to data privacy and marketing, one quote that stuck with me is, "The only constant in marketing is change." For marketers to be successful, they must be able to adapt quickly. Those in digital marketing face the difficult task of providing consumers with their need for privacy and a sense of control while satisfying their desire for customized advertising.